Hi there. If you're watching this on YouTube, or you're wanting to watch any of my content on my channel, or both for that matter, I would strongly recommend hitting the subscribe button and comment and like on any videos if you may wish, because this is a general audience channel. Also, this video is not made for kids, it is for older fans and adults alike. So please sit back and enjoy the video.
And now, our feature presentation.
Stop and Smell the Thomases. Based on the original story by carsonmarenka, adapted, edited, and told by Julyleonard. One day, a new engine arrived on the island of Sodor. Her name is Rosie. She is a cheerful, chirpy little tank engine with freckles and red on her cheeks, painted lavender pink with red lining, gray tank panels with the letters NWR and number 37 on both sides, a whistle on the right side of her front dome, and 6 red wheels. Compared to most tank engines with Sodor and mainland designs, Rosie has an American design. All that said, she was excited to meet Thomas as she had heard so much about him, and it became very apparent. At Knapford Yards, Thomas scurried in to search for Annie and Clarabelle, whilst Dennis was shunting. "Lower terrace of the north yard." "Phew! Oh, thank you, replied Thomas with an excited relief, and puffed away. "The tank engine," chuckled Dennis. At that moment, Rosie appeared, panting. I heard, that was, Thomas," she stammered frantically. "Yes, Thomas just came through," came the reply. "Oh, I missed him," Rosie fumed. "Okay," said Dennis. "Anyway, you must be Rosie, the new tank engine. I'm Dennis." "Nice to meet you, Dennis," Rosie replied. "Anyhow," she went on, "I've got some trucks to fetch from the quay. Give me a honk when Thomas comes back, please." "All right," replied Dennis. "He shouldn't be long." "Oh, thanks," said Rosie, and puffed away. Just then, Thomas's whistle sounded in the distance, and Dennis honked his horn, which got Rosie's attention. Thomas was coming through with Annie and Clarabelle. "The Fat Controller tells you to leave us in the carriage shed for a reason, Thomas," reminded Annie. "But I was so tired," moaned Thomas. "And now we're late, and you woke yourself up trying to find us," finished Clarabelle. "You know you'd lose your cab if it wasn't bolted on." I know. Sorry, you two, you're right," said Thomas. "Now do come along, we're rather late. We're coming along, sang the coaches. And with that, they were out of sight for the branch line. "Wait! Come back!" called Rosie as she hurried back to the yards. "Oh, rats!" she exclaimed as she stopped. "What's the matter?" asked Dennis. "I just can't catch a break," came the flustered reply. "Come on, Rosie, cheer up," smiled Dennis. "I'm sure you'll run into him sooner or later. Besides," he went on, "Thomas is always finding his way to every little corner of the island. In fact, sometimes I feel like it's harder not to bump into him." "Well, that's just it," said Rosie. She began to explain to Dennis the whole story. Back on the mainland, when she and her crew were still working at Southampton docks in the southern region, they heard all sorts of stories about the engines on Sodor. Every railway it did, but they weren't quite like them. The ones she had them told her over and over again were the ones about Thomas. Rosie felt like he was her hero, helping others and getting his own branch line. She wished she could meet him and tell him just how much she looked up to him. Many years later, Rosie and her crew were very excited when they heard that they were coming to Sodor. She even got a chance to work with all those really useful engines and her hero. "And here I am, now that I arrived," went on Rosie. "And every time I think I can get a word with Thomas, he just vanishes right under my nose. I feel like I'll never get to meet him. It's like someone's playing one big joke on me." "Oh, now don't get in the dumps about it," sympathized Dennis. "Chance can be a fine thing sometimes. You might at least bump into him when you least expect it." That made Rosie feel a bit better. "Thanks for the advice, Dennis," she said. "Anyways, these trucks won't shift themselves." "Come along," Rosie called to a line of empty trucks, who didn't want to come. "We don't want to go to the coal mines," they grumbled. "Well, I've got news for you," she stated. "We're going to the coal plant." "Oh," groaned the trucks as they set off, but Rosie just laughed. Meanwhile, Thomas puffed into Knapford Station with Annie and Clarabelle. "Righty then, Thomas. We've got some trucks to take to the Sodor Slate Quarry," said his driver. "Let's get Annie and Clarabelle into the shed and be on our way." And so they did. "You do remember our chat this morning, Thomas," reminded Clarabelle. Thomas tried to remember what it was, but couldn't figure it out. "The carriage shed," pointed out Annie. "Oh, yes, that, chat," started Thomas. "Of course, I remember that." And they chuckled. Just then, Rosie arrived back from the coaling plant. "Yes, look, there he is!" she exclaimed. "Golly," exclaimed the driver. "Twice in one day, that must be—" "It must be a sign," said Rosie excitedly. "Oh, go quick! Come on!" And tried to go quicker, but the trucks had other ideas. "No, you don't," they said, and held her back. "Oh, now? Really?" flustered Rosie, as she stopped, whilst Thomas puffed away with an empty Annie and Clarabelle to the carriage shed. Rosie strained to move, but her wheel slipped, and the trucks kept holding her back. "Oh, come on! Not again!" "Whoa, easy does it, girl," called the driver. "He was right," sighed Rosie as she stopped. "That's what you get for dragging us wherever you like," taunted the trucks. "And for having dreams." And they laughed, much to Rosie's annoyance. "Leave them, Rosie. It ain't worth it," said the driver. "Let's just dump them in the siding." "Oh, fine by me," came the flustered reply, and they did just that. The yard foreman appeared. "Ah, Rosie, you are here. Now when you are topped up with water and coal, I've got another job for you," he went on. "Some trucks are needed to go to Edward Station at Wellsworth." "No problem, sir," Rosie replied. "Are those the ones there?" she asked. "No, those are for the Sodor Slate Quarry. Thomas will be coming back for them any minute," came the reply. "You want the vans next to them? I'm sure you'll get along just fine," he finished. And as he turned and walked away, he didn't notice a smirk appearing on Rosie's face. "I'm sure," she chuckled and thought of a plan. "But imagine what a shame it would be if we didn't. I mean, if we were delayed. and in just the spot to meet Thomas." "Rosie," said her driver sharply. "Well, we won't. Come on, please," pleaded Rosie. "Not a hope," replied the driver sternly. "Work comes first. Let's get to it. Thomas can wait." "All right," sighed Rosie, as she was uncoupled from her empty coal trucks. But as she backed down onto the vans, waiting to go to Edward's yard at Wellsworth, Rosie whispered to them, "Psst! You guys, listen up." "Go away," the vans grumbled. "Perfect. That's just the spirit I want," thought Rosie. "Now don't get used to this, 'cause I'll only say this once. But I want you to hold me back until I get a chattin' with Thomas." The vans grumbled to each other, whilst Thomas was puffing into the yard to collect his trucks for the Sodor slate quarry. "The clock's ticking, fellas," Rosie stammered. "I need an answer, quick." "That might be possible," answered one van. "Great!" she exclaimed. "Time to go," the driver called. "Or is it?" snickered Rosie. But as she started, the vans weren't holding her back. "Hey!" exclaimed Rosie. "You vans are well behaved today," she grumbled. "We've just been oiled," mocked the vans, and laughed. "Oh, why?" moaned Rosie as they left. A few nights later, Rosie was taking some trucks to Marin Station during her last run of the day before going back home. "Grand job, Rosie," said a porter. "Need the stuff for a night like this. Leave it on the far siding, if you please." "Okay," replied Rosie, and did just that. "Only a few more stops before quitting time, Rosie," noted the driver. "Oh, great," she said. "Although I could do with a top before the hill. I'm real thirsty." And with that, they headed off for the water column. "I'll have you sorted in a jiffy," said the driver. Then he and the fireman began filling Rosie's tanks to the brim. "That hit the spot," sighed Rosie as she shut her eyes whilst enjoying her drink. But it didn't last long. A familiar whistle sounded, which woke up Rosie. "It can't be!" she exclaimed. "On the main line? At this time of night? Why would he—" She then gasped as realization hit her. "A mail train!" exclaimed Rosie the second time. And sure enough, it was Thomas, coming by while pulling the post train. "Right on time, Thomas," complimented the station master as Thomas pulled in. "Thank you, sir," came the reply. "Well, there's good luck. And then there's good luck," Rosie's driver commented. "Quick!" called Rosie. "Get the stuff putting away. We need to move." So the driver and fireman did just that. "Hurry!" she urged. "He'll be leaving any second." "That's a lot," said Thomas's driver. "Look alive, Thomas. We've got places to be." And with that, Thomas whistled and steamed out of the station. "Go, go, 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 go!" called Rosie as the driver turned the regulator, and she started moving. "Not this time, not this time, please, he's right there," said Rosie frantically, as she stopped and reversed, trying to catch Thomas, but it was no use. "Thomas!" she wailed, as she ran into a set of buffers, whilst Thomas was out of sight with the post train. "Great," she moaned. "Fat chance to get that close again." A few days later, after many failed attempts to meet Thomas, Rosie was on the edge of giving up. "You know, Dennis, I tried. I really did," she told Dennis. "I think I'm just going to let it go now. It's not going to happen." "Now, remember what I told you, Rosie," Dennis began. I do, cut in Rosie. "You aren't there to see it, Dennis. Now it's just gone ridiculous. Stupidly ridiculous. Like some sort of cartoon. I'd be better off if I just cutting my losses and getting on with my day about giving up my hopes anymore. It only makes me upset," she finished sadly.
Well,
Before Dennis could say anything else, a distant horn sounded. "Here comes the Fat Controller," he exclaimed as the Fat Controller drove up to see the two engines. "Good morning to the both of you," he said. "Good morning, sir," came the chorus of replies. "Rosie, I want you to take a train of coal to Elsbridge for the coal merchants at Farquhar," said the Fat Controller. "I'll need you to get going right away." "Yes, sir. I'll do that, sir," replied Rosie. "Splendid, and good day to you both," came the reply, and with that he drove away. "Pulling a train to Elsbridge," said Dennis. "That's Thomas's junction of his branch line. This might be it." But Rosie wasn't sure. "No, it'll just be Percy or Toby," she thought. "They're always about the coal yards as far as I'm concerned. I'll catch you later, Dennis." And with that, Rosie puffed away. "Bye-bye, Rosie," called Dennis. "Poor engine," he muttered as he watched Rosie leave. As Rosie puffed along, she thought, "Oh, well, I can't say I didn't try. And if I never get to meet him, that's just life, I guess. Nothing to be done," she finished, as she arrived at Elsbridge Station with her coal train. "Rosie," her driver whispered, but Rosie was still brooding negatively. "Rosie! Rosie!" the driver repeated twice. That got her attention. "What's up?" she responded. "Take a look who's at the platform," came the whispering reply. Rosie eyed at Fergus, who was nearby. "Oh, hey, Fergus." "Good day to you," Fergus complimented. "Wrong one," said the driver. "To the left." Rosie eyed to the very left to see who it was, and sure enough, it was Thomas, who was standing at the platform with Annie and Clarabelle, much to Rosie's delight and excitement. "Thomas," said Annie, "I believe that young girl is trying to ask you a question." Thomas eyed at Rosie. "Oh," he said. "Sorry, I didn't see you there." Rosie's cheesy, smiling face stood frozen still as she continuously looked at Thomas. "Did you want to say something?" asked Thomas. "Hi," said Rosie as she broke the silence. "I'm Rosie." "Hello to you too," came the reply. "Hello, dearie," said Annie. "Morning, Poppet," added Clarabelle. Just then the guard blew his whistle. "Oh, that's my cue," said Thomas. "Sorry that the commo got cut short. We should have a chat sometime. Goodbye." "Goodbye, goodbye," said Annie and Clarabelle as they left the station. "Now do come along, we're rather late. Do come along, we're rather late," sang Thomas happily. "We're coming along," sang the coaches cheerfully as Rosie watched them puff out of sight. "Wow!" she exclaimed. "Ah, you're here, Rosie," said the station master. "Percy's coming for that coal in a minute. He's just been delayed. Leave it in the goods shed." "Of course, sir," Rosie replied, and did just that. She was very happy that she finally got a chance to finally meet Thomas, her hero. So much so that she requested to be relocated to the branch line sheds at Farquhar, which Thomas naturally sleeps at. "Certainly," agreed the Fat Controller, and so it was arranged. Nowadays, Rosie huffs and chuffs up and down the branch line, pulling coaches and trucks alike, proving her versatility as a mixed traffic engine, even though she can still shunt and go to Anofa Quarry on special occasions every now and then. She also enjoys the company of the branch line engines at Farquhar, and Thomas began telling stories to Rosie about his earlier days before the events of the books. Although there did come a time, one gray cloudy day, when Rosie would meet Thomas at Marin Station with the post train bound for High Farm on the Ulfstead branch line. But I probably shouldn't say any more, 'cause I believe that the rest, they say, is history. The Rosie of Vicarstown. Written and told by July Leonard. One morning at Vicarstown sheds, Karina, the shy pink saddle tank engine, woke up early feeling ill. Some workmen tried to make her better, but to no avail. The fat controller came to see her. "You'll have to go to the Sodor steamworks, Karina," he said, looking concerned. "They'll make you better, but it will take some time."
"Who will look after the trucks and coaches here?" Karina asked sadly.
"Don't worry. I'll have a volunteer shunter to do your work for the time being till you get back," came the reply.
"Can I help?"
asked a voice. It was Rosie, who arrived to deliver a goods train from the Farquhar branch line. "Certainly, Rosie," said the fat controller, smiling. And so it was arranged. Whilst Jeff the works diesel arrived to take Karina to the steamworks, Rosie looked after the shunting at Vicarstown for the rest of the day. Not that she minded, but because she was just glad to have a change in pace from the life on Thomas's branch line. Rosie arranged all the coaches gently, hurried about the yards with heavy trucks, and all the trains had ran on time. The next morning, however, all that was about to change. Patrick, the Class 40 diesel, arrived with the goods train.
"Leave those trucks there, Patrick," she said. "I'll shunt them in a siding while you refuel."
"Thanks, Rosie," said Patrick. Before Rosie could shunt them away whilst Patrick was going to refuel, Murdoch showed up with his goods train. "Excuse me, Rosie," he called. "I'm in a hurry. Will you shunt my trucks for me, please?"
"Wait, Murdoch,"
called Rosie. But it was too late, as Murdoch hurried away. Things got worse for Rosie throughout the rest of the day. No matter how hard she tried, Rosie couldn't keep up with all the trucks and coaches in the yards, which tired her out easily. Later that evening, the fat controller came to see her in the sheds. He wasn't very happy. "Rosie, I'm very displeased with you today. Several goods and passengers were delayed, and I had several complaints," he said. "Next time, make sure to prioritize the trains that you are arranging. That way," he went on, "you could do more so you don't overwork yourself. Is that clear?"
"Yes, sir. Sorry, sir," replied Rosie sadly.
"However," he finished, smiling, "maybe some of the diesels from the Vicarstown Diesel Works could assist you whenever they're available. That would save you some time till Karina gets back from the steamworks."
That would be lovely," said Rosie cheerfully.
And so it was arranged. For the next few days, Rosie had some help with the shunting at Vicarstown. She had the help of Diesel, despite his devious nature, Paxton, Sidney, Dennis, Norman, Splatter, and Dodge. And in no time, all the trucks and coaches were well behaved and sorted in a timely manner, the sidings were organized, and all the trains ran on time once more again. Eventually, when Karina came back good as new from the steamworks, the fat controller was pleased with Rosie's performances. "You have done better these past few days," he said. "How would you like to be relocated to Vicarstown sheds with Karina?"
"Well,"
Rosie paused.
"I don't mind being at Vicarstown, but to be honest," she finished, "I prefer the life on Thomas's branch line ever since I was transferred."
"Well, that's your privilege," came the reply. "I was thinking a reward for you. What would it be?" asked the fat controller.
"I was thinking a new coat of paint," replied Rosie.
"Then it's official," the fat controller announced. "I'll notify the steamworks and make the arrangements." And with that, he drove away.
"Will you visit Vicarstown on special occasions every now and then, Rosie?" asked Karina. "Of course I will," promised Rosie. "Farewell, Karina." And with that, she left. When Rosie arrived at the steamworks, Victor and some painters were waiting for her. "Rosie, my friend," he said, "we have a variety of colors for you to choose. There's pink, blue, green, and red." Rosie thought about it for a moment. "I've always been pink ever since I arrived here," she said. "But being blue or green don't match my traits, name, or personality. I was thinking red, 'cause roses are red." "Then it's official," said Victor. "Red it is." And with that, the painter started repainting Rosie, and by the time they were finished, she came out of the steamworks in a cherry shade of red, with dark raspberry tank panels, gold boiler brands, and light gray lining, and with her NWR lettering and number 37 in light gray on both sides, as they always are. On her way, she then stopped at Crovansgate Station when she saw Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle for a local passenger run on the main line. "Rosie?" he exclaimed in shock. "Is that you?" "Indeed it is, Thomas," replied Rosie cheerfully. "I've just been repainted at the steamworks." "Wait till James gets a load of this," chuckled Thomas as the guard blew his whistle and steamed away. Rosie chuffed away contentedly. She was happy to be red, as it suits her very well. But there did come a time when Rosie would meet a certain shiny red engine with a number 5 while taking some coal trucks out on the main line. "Rosie!" exclaimed James in shock as he tried to slow down. "Hello, James," she said. "You really are red." But the rest, they say, is history.